You know what? At the time of recording this video, I'm still a bit unsure if I really want to post this up and give it out for free, because today I've decided to give you my 4-step setting framework that has resulted in 15 million collected. Now, it doesn't matter what stage you're at. You could be a beginner, an experienced setter, or even a manager. You could still replicate this for yourself. Now, to tell you how good this framework is, I've attached a testimonial from an 8-figure business owner, Mike Sancho, with whom I was able to generate more than 470K a month from leads that were 2 years old using the same exact process. Now, before we go any further, if this is your first time on my channel, I'm Eunice. I've collected 15 million as a setter, and now I coach appointment setters, and I make extremely boring YouTube videos like this one where there's no music, nothing, just me talking about topics that make you rich as fuck. So if this is your first time, welcome in, and I hope you stay. So the reason I'm making this video is because sales has been commoditized. Every single day I see setters, beginner and experienced ones, acting like complete newbies because all of them follow a super similar framework. It starts off with introduction, it changes into discovery, changes into pain, and then goal, and then gap, and then they eventually book in the call. Now, if your goal is to make 2K a month working like 8 hours a day, then this framework is amazing for you. But if your goal is to make 7 to 10K a month working less than 4 hours a day as an appointment setter, then you need something better. And that's where this 4-step process comes in play. Now, we need 4 things to make this work. Number 1, we need creative thinking. Number 2, we need cruising. Number 3, we need intent and urgency. And number 4, I would give you some frameworks that you could leverage for yourself. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this isn't a masterclass where I would break down step by step how intent-based setting works or how our process works. Rather, it's a glimpse into what's needed and what are the foundations of intent-based setting. And if you were to implement on these few, I'm damn sure that you would see your commissions rise up, and then you would join our paid coaching, hopefully, and we would walk you over all the remaining ones. Now, number 1, why do we need creative thinking skills? Now, you gotta realize that every lead you would speak with is different. They are living through different life experiences, they're having different reasons to change, and of course, having multiple unique limiting beliefs for why they haven't been able to do it yet. Your job as a setter is to build enough creative thinking skills to where you can spot the uniqueness of the situation and then create a rough framework customized to that specific lead. I know as you hear me say this, it sounds super technical, so let me give you a few examples so it becomes easily absorbable for you. Now, let's say there's a lead. He is divorced, he is retired, and he wants to lose some weight. Now, the moment they mention all these things, you should be able to create a rough framework in your mind, which in this case will look something like this. He mentioned that he is divorced. What effects did it have on his growth? And why did he allow that situation to control him? I mean, if he went through the divorce and then he says, oh, I wasn't able to lose weight because I was in this rough patch where I was going through a divorce. In my mind, I'm thinking, why did he allow that situation to control him rather than controlling the situation himself? Now, the goal is to make him realize that it wasn't his divorce that stopped him, but rather himself. Number 2, he said he's retired. So why does he want to lose weight now, considering he already retired? I mean, if he's retired, he's probably old, in his late or early 50s. Even if he doesn't change, nothing would be affected. Besides, of course, health. Was weight one of the reasons he retired in the first place? Was it hard for him to move around? Was he having some health difficulties? Again, the goal here is to create internal urgency and make him realize that he truly doesn't need to do this, hence him wanting to do this even more. Now, let's say there's another lead. This guy ran 18 businesses in the past, and now he wants to do e-com for clothing. He does a full-time job, and he says that marketing is his main issue. The moment they mention all these things, you should be able to create a rough framework in your mind, which in this case will look something like this. He ran 18 businesses and he's still working a job. Why is that? How many of those businesses did he fail? Why did he mention that in the first place? Because I only asked him, why does he want to do e-com? And he said, oh, I've ran 18 businesses in the past and I want to do e-com. Is it insecurity? Is he guilty? Does he have regret for failing way too many times and you want to prove to us that he did experience that? What is it? Can this also be used as a mask for fear of failing? Again, considering he ran 18 businesses and he's still working a job, it probably shows that he's not been successful. So if that's the case, can this be used as a mask for fear, which might result in him not taking any action? Goal: to make him face the reality of what happens when you go through starting and failing businesses, the limiting beliefs that come with it, the hardship, the hesitation, and then for you to eliminate each one of those limiting beliefs so he's a clean slate again and can actually close. knows. He also said marketing is the issue. Now, the first thing I'm thinking about is what makes him say that. I mean, have I ever seen businesses do well with okay marketing? I have. I've seen a couple of them. Some are my friends that I know of personally. So how come none of the businesses that he started didn't work despite of not having marketing? I mean, some of them should have worked. Is marketing the only main reason for why he's not successful, or just one of the reasons? Is that what he's been telling himself for years? Perhaps one of the reasons he never succeeded was because he's too afraid to face the fact that maybe he doesn't know how to run a business. Were his parents entrepreneurs? Were his friends entrepreneurs? His cousins? If no, then he's the first one to do this. Hence, chances of him failing are more as he had no exposure. Again, the goal here is to make him realize that it's not the marketing that was an issue. It was him not having enough exposure to how a business is run. So when he started, failure was his fate. The moment he believes that, he wouldn't even join the coaching for the lessons, but rather the exposure alone. Again, the entire goal here is when you go through a conversation and they share their unique perspectives and limiting beliefs and experiences, you're able to creatively think and create a customized framework like we did with these two specific leads. So you know what questions to ask to those specific leads that would give you the maximum output. Now, how do we build creative thinking skills? There's no one way of building it, but I'll share what has worked for our students. Number one, I typically have 2 to 3 live one-on-one role plays with my student where I stop them in the middle when we're having role plays if they miss out on a question, or if they could have asked a better question, or if they are unable to create a frame in their mind. I stop them and then I help them. So when we do it for a bit, they actually get better at it. So I usually have 2 to 3 role plays with each one of my students. I hold them accountable the moment they mess up and give them live feedback whenever I feel like they missed out on an opportunity. After 3 to 4 weeks of aggressive role plays and feedback loops, they start building those skills. Number 2 is walking up to strangers and forcing yourself to converse with them for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Now, at first, it'll be 30 minutes, then a minute, then 4 minutes. And at one point, you'd be able to make a complete stranger give you their complete attention for 20 minutes just because you've got the creative thinking skills to ask them questions that make them curious and that would make them stay. So again, this is an amazing exercise. Relearn setting completely. I'm a big believer in scriptless selling, to set without depending on any script. So removing a script to practice can help too, and I would discuss more on this in just a minute in the subject of cruising. Now, what's cruising and why do we need it? Now, cruising, essentially, you're only asking a question based off of what the prospect has said in a way that still drives the conversation forward but sounds extremely conversational. Reason is this change alone can result in more sales. People are used to sales rep asking them stupid, robotic questions and booking them at the end. If you build the right skills to ask the right questions in a way that sounds like a conversation, you're bound to win in this game. Now, again, just like anything else, I'd give you a couple of examples on how you could replicate this for yourself. Now, let's say you're speaking with a lead and they say they've been in construction for 10 years and they want to get into e-com now. What a lot of setters would do, the average fucking setters would say, I understand, and are you going to do this with a partner or alone? It sounds too robotic, it's too out of place, and it's too salesy. The right way of doing this will look something like this. You would just say, again, it's just for the sake of an example. Makes sense. I mean, majority of our clients have worked in construction before shifting to e-com completely. I guess people typically do scale up within the construction industry quite a bit too. What stage you at right now in the industry? They say, oh, I'm a manager. Pretty cool, man. And how long ago did that happen? 2 years ago. Wait, so it's really not been that long. What position were you mainly doing over the last 8 years then? The same old picking up weights and, being in the field myself. Must have been quite draining, 8 years in the field. I said, yeah, indeed, it was a lot. But I mean, you are a manager now. I might be wrong, but doesn't that mean you don't have to be at the field actively? Like, you can just kind of roam around and stuff. Yeah, it does. It has more freedom and it's definitely not as frustrating. Setter would say something like, exactly, man. So why do e-com? Considering, as you said, it's not even frustrating. Again, the goal here is to have as human of a conversation as possible. Remember, people buy into people. The product comes later. So if you do an exceptional job at representing your company and having a conversation that the prospect enjoyed, they would buy either ways. Number 2, intent and urgency. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to completely forget what you know about sales and about appointment set. Pain, goal, gap, finance, booking, hell and heaven, everything, I want you to forget that. And I want you to shift all of that into just one belief, which is for a lead to change, all they need is urgency and intent. Now, what is intent? Intent is, you know what? This change is really important in my life. What's urgency? You know what? This change is really important in my life, but this change should be made right now and not months later. That's all you need. Number one, you need the intent for them to change. And number two, you need urgency for them to make that change today. I'd even argue if you have enough urgency and intent, even the leads that are broke would take 2 weeks to come up with the money and make it happen. And the moment you break it down into just intent and urgency, it brings this entire framework into more of a structure. I'll explain how that is. Number one thing we discussed was creative thinking, making unique frameworks for unique prospects. Now, when you add intent and urgency, then you make the unique framework in a way that builds urgency and intent. We also talked about cruising, which was asking question based off of what the prospect said. When you think about this, you do it in a way that eventually the lead falls into your unique framework of urgency and intent. But the question that you might have is, how do we build it? And that's where we use frameworks that you can leverage. Now, again, I spend majority of my time training setters one-on-one. The reason my setters out-earn majority of the setters in the space is because of these frameworks. But I physically can't teach you everything in one video because it takes months and months of live one-on-one training and a lot of supervision for the setters to implement all these the right way. But as I had promised in the beginning to give you some frameworks, I give you two frameworks that I believe you can easily use, and also one live call for you to listen to that I would put down in the description. So once you watch this video, you can watch a call and you would know exactly how to use it more efficient. Framework one is A and B comparison. Now let's say a lead says, I've not been able to lose weight because of my job. I work like 9 hours a day and then feel too tired afterwards. The last thing you want to do is say, would you agree that if you wanted to lose weight, you would? The reason you don't want to ask that is because that would create immense sales pressure, as that creates tons of resistance, and it feels like you're actually fighting the prospect and they wouldn't like it. The right way of doing this will look something like this. The setter would say, understandable. And how long has this situation been happening for? Like when you've been thinking about losing weight, but haven't really been able to do it so. The lead says about 2 years. The setter would say, And I mean, let's say hypothetically, there are two people. Person A is, let's say, John, and person B is Stacy. Now, both of them want to lose weight, and both of them work like 9 hours a day. John tries to lose in some weight, but after 3 weeks, he realizes that it's too draining and it's too much to carry on with his current job, so he lets it all be. Stacy tries losing weight, and after 3 weeks, she also has similar experiences and feelings. But rather than shutting it down completely, she just focuses on diet and doing a cardio for only 20 minutes per day towards the end of her day. What do you think happens to both of them? And their weight, not like in 3 months, of course, but let's say in 2 years. The lead says, John probably stays the same or gains more weight, and Stacy ends up losing some weight. Exactly. And would you agree that what Stacy did wasn't like a lot of work? She did bare minimum for compounding effect to work, where she did lose a lot of weight in just 2 years. The lead says, I agree. And I guess, like, what do you think was the differentiator between the both, like Stacy and John? What do you think mentally happened that one completely stopped and the other carried on? The lead says, I really don't know, man. The setter might say, take a minute, think. Maybe discipline? Setter says, yes, discipline could be a big one, but what's bigger? The lead says, what? The setter would say something like, one allowed the situation to overcome them, while the other overcame the situation itself. They would take the name of the lead. So in this case, let's say they are Andrew. Andrew, do you remember any moment in your life where you felt like life was pushing you into a corner, and maybe a lot of people would have given up in that situation, but you fought up and eventually got out of it as well? Yes, of course, I do remember. Can you rewind and tell me about that moment? The lead says, it was back when I had lost my job and was practically homeless for 3 months. I lost everything, but just kept pushing through. Wow. I mean, we're talking, and the more you tell me about yourself, the more I realize that you're an amazing human being. I mean, you push yourself, you definitely want to grow, and you're not someone that gives up easily. Between you and me, if you had continued like Stacy 2 years ago, even if it were little steps, do you think that perhaps we wouldn't be having this conversation today? You're right, we wouldn't be having it. Exactly. So what I'm thinking is, would you let your situation control you again in the coming future, or would you fight it to lose weight just like you did when you lost your job? No, I definitely fight it this time. Hey, I mean, you really don't have to do this. And I'm not saying this to be rude, but the reality is you couldn't do it 2 years ago when you tried losing weight. Why do you want to do this now? I mean, you really don't have to. Again, the entire goal here is to make them realize that it was never their job that made them unable to do this or whatever external reason they give you. It was always them allowing the situation to control them instead of overcoming it themselves. This framework works like a charm if used correctly and can build enough intent and urgency for them to change. Framework 2 is internal and external urgency. Now, let's say a lead says that I want to lose some weight because I want to be able to look good at my friend's wedding. I have 3 months to make it happen. The last thing you want to do is say, of course, man, and we can definitely do that. How much weight do you want to lose? This is literally you telling them to not buy. The right way of doing this will look something like this. Hey, man, congrats. You excited for the wedding? I am. I'm super excited. Love that, man. Still remember attending this friend's wedding a while ago. Absolute blast. Unfortunately, all my friends are married now, so there's no more weddings for me. I know, I definitely get you. Awesome, man. Although one thing that I noticed is you said one of the biggest reasons you want to lose this weight is because of the actual wedding, yeah? Yeah, that's right. Awesome, man. Did you by any chance know the difference between external prioritization and internal prioritization? Not really, man. What is it? Of course, man. Let me break it down for you. Now, let's say there's this guy, John. John typically only takes fitness seriously when he's about to attend any major event, let's say a marriage, birthdays, promotions. The good thing is, he's always able to lose that weight. Whenever a big event is coming up, he locks in. The weird thing, though, is he always ends up gaining more weight or struggles to maintain that weight after the event is gone. Why do you think that is? Maybe because his only motivation is the event. Bingo. His only motivation is an event, something that's outside of him, something that's external. And that's what we call external prioritization. Let's say that one day John decides that he wants to lose weight not for some event, but rather because he wants to live a healthier lifestyle and inspire those around him to do the same. What do you think happens? Lead says, in what sense? I mean, do you think he's going to be able to lose weight and maintain that weight? Yes, I think he's going to be able to lose and also maintain that weight quite consistently. Why though? I mean, just a minute ago, John wasn't able to do that. Now he is. What's the difference? I mean, he has a bigger reason now. He is doing this for himself, which is why it doesn't matter if he has an event or not, he'd still maintain that weight. Bingo. Exactly. You're 110% right. Another aspect of this is mental well being and energy levels. Do you think he had more energy and was more excited towards his journey because when he wanted to lose it because of an event? Or do you think he's better now that he's doing it truly for himself? I mean, I think he's more happy and fulfilled now. What makes you say that? Because he's doing this from a place of love and not a place of pressure. Exactly, man. So the question that I have for you is, are we going to continue to use this upcoming wedding as our biggest reason to do this? Or would we look inwards and build some internal reasonings? No, definitely more internal reasonings. Hey, man, I mean, I'm not forcing you to do that. Wedding can be a good reason. Why do you want to do it internally? Because that's the only way I enjoy the process and maintain the results. Internal urgency always results in sales. External urgency would always leave room for them to say no. So try to build internal pressure and not external. Now, this is the first time that I've made such a detailed video, kind of trying my best to simplify our teachings into like one video because again it takes months and months and months of training as I had said previously. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will link down the live call within the description so you can maximize the use of that as well. And with that being said, I'll see you in a couple of days.